with a flying wig, a screaming Remy Ma, and a man who stays still at the altar like Elsa. The circumstances surrounding Papoose and Claressa Shields' reported secret wedding are reminiscent of a fever dream starring Tyler Perry and Zeus Network. The drama is just getting started. Even if you may have believed it was ended, what happens when a championship boxer, an angry ex-boyfriend, and a covert wedding are combined with enough turmoil, treachery, and tension to taint each of New York's 5 boroughs? Remy Ma exacerbated the situation by dragging Claressa in front of the guests rather than simply attending the ceremony. You won't believe what truly transpired when the Papoose bro showed up at a WWE main event with his Wi-Fi switched off, leaking tape, secret invites, and a lace front left behind like a wounded soldier. Hold on tight, because we might be about to watch the most ridiculous thing we have ever seen. Let's travel back in time to alter the start of this complex fairy tale from once upon a time to Remy Ma's exclusion. Picture a ballroom in the hills outside of Atlanta with violins playing and shimmering lights. It's the biggest celebrity ambush of the year. Claressa Shields, the bridegroom, is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist and a recent reality TV star. She whispers to Papoose, "It looks too good," in reference to the bride's outfit. A storm is constantly on the horizon in the world of hip-hop royalty. Even when everything appears to be going smoothly, we assumed that he declared himself to be the king of loyalty. Let's now look at the reasons this wedding was first kept secret. Rumor had said that Claressa disliked external influences. You should stay away from Remy Ma because of this. Because this isn't just any ex-wife. Honey, this is Bronx royalty. The female entertainer who delivered or unnamed Wi-Fi caterer claims that Remy found out about the wedding via a private Snap story that a common acquaintance shared with her, who had failed to keep it a secret. Let's say that Remy was not pleased. Despite putting in a 7-year bid, she was offered a recording deal, but she went out in style: no RSVP, no cool head, a mission, red shoes, and a trench coat. "Don't touch me. I have history with the groom," she reportedly yelled to an usher after evading security. Racing into the ballroom like a rap race, Claressa was carrying a champagne flute and a microphone, so the guests cheered as she sampled. Witnesses claimed that when the music abruptly stopped, Remy kept quiet at first and went up to the bridesmaids, saying, "Oh no, she's here." The wig-grabbing started when she looked at Papoose and then at Claressa. Before dismissing this as a hoax, take into account this. Remy can be seen in an online video that was released following Claressa's removal from TikTok due to graphic hair trauma, holding her by the lace front, screaming, "You thought I wouldn't find out." As people hurried to record from behind the centerpieces, let's take a moment to consider that. Despite the fact that it all appears to have been planned by Mona Scott Young, the worst thing is that the Papoose, the same man who had bound, "I'll never let them disrespect my queen." She just stood there frozen, mouth slightly open, holding the ring box like it was evidence in a criminal case. Our crew heard one of the visitors say, even though he was buffering in real life, it felt like his soul left the building. In addition, Claressa is an extremely talented fighter. She didn't even swing during this time. She just stood there, perhaps whispering to her maid of honor, "Get my purse," or maybe "Get my gloves," while holding her wig in one hand and her pride in the other. An insider said that there was no security because the team most likely took a break to eat the vegan buffet. A visitor claiming to be Papoose's cousin says that instead of yelling following the wig grab, Remy simply increased her voice to "Loyalty, may it rest in peace." "I mean, Shakespeare, who," she replied, glancing around the room, shocking the visitors. Claressa's sister had fainted. Another woman tried to live stream the event, but found her phone was still in selfie mode. And the 5 stages of grief: angry, denial, bargaining, shock, and of course dragging someone along were officially impacted. Don't worry though, since this mess wasn't done marinating. Remy pulls out a manila envelope just when you think things can't get much worse. Inside, reports state that DMs are the light documentation. The Proof Olympics welcomes all documentation, including images and hotel receipts. When Remy waved the documents, a second-row traveler said, "You've been sneaking around since last August. You told me it was about boxing. Didn't say it was this kind of ring." The stakes were higher than wigs at this crucial juncture. Timelines of betrayal and a man who promised to women he would be his lifelong partner were the topics of discussion. The wedding DJ inadvertently streamed the entire event live, which made things worse. The room was suddenly filled with murmuring. "Let's wait a moment now. I neglected to close his Twitch channel, even though I should have," before Claressa had a chance to fix her mistakes. The video was replayed by the Shade Room Lipstick Alley, a fake account that was actually impersonating Remy's chihuahua. When Papoose finally showed up, she flipped her hair like a curtain, and Remy was ready to leave. The blink is the topic of discussion. He stood still like a wax figure at Madame Tussauds' Papoose, and finally came out of his shock trance. But instead of hurrying to break up the fight or console his new bride, he did something that made the whole ballroom gasp louder than Claressa's words. He approached Remy's. You read correctly. Instead of Claressa Remy, when the wig was off, according to a guest who asked not to be named. The truth is that love in hip-hop, the resurrection, was one of the most turbulent post-breakup reunions we have ever seen. In addition to approaching her, he leaned over and whispered something in her ear. The wedding was suggested by Claressa. Her manager, her team, and her stylist, and Papoose muttered, "I told you I wasn't ready. They pushed this wedding without me." Papoose said he could read people's lips. Here's the manila envelope. Remy, perhaps this was not as reciprocal a ceremony as those gold-plated invitations implied. For weeks, there had been rumors that Claressa was in a rush to hide things. Before more information about Remy was revealed. In fact, Papoose picked it up after it struck the ground. He kept it like a lost truth diary, refusing to give it to Claressa or discard it. One lash at a time, Claressa stood and attempted to straighten up the tangled bridesmaids and one of the groom's entourage, then became viral on the internet. This is why you don't have backyard weddings with industry people. The violinist slipped into a corner and thought to himself, "I played for this." The fact that one of Claressa's relatives, let's call her Kendra with a curl, sprang at Remy Mark did not bother him. You thought everything was over, little one. But it was actually a full-on brawl between Flint and the Bronx in the middle of a $60,000 reception hall. Remy responded, avoiding it as though it were a drill, with "touch me and I'll drop more screenshots than an Android user." Iconic security eventually arrived, panting and 30 minutes late, trying to defuse the situation. But they were unable to utilize a Remy Ma entrance because that would be ineffective. A bottle of Fiji water by this time. Half of the guests had left the cake unfinished. And the DJ kept playing "Best Thing I Never Had" over and over again, like it was a breakup anthem straight out of Paradise. Additionally, the media was involved since by the time the wig-snatching footage was posted online, it was jokes about showy, demonic weddings began to circulate on Twitter when Remy genuinely said, "Speak now or forever. Snatch this lace," and as the cocktails were being consumed, the number of comments about them grew. Seeing how quickly his entire reputation was deteriorating, blink. Claressa had been training for battle all her life, but she had not prepared her guest list. Then the fake messages began. As you may remember from screenshots, Claressa was reportedly observed reaching out to Papoose prior to Remy moving out. Claressa once liked her burner Instagram account, according to another chat. The most damaging of these were pictures of Papoose and a supposedly direct communication from Claressa that said she won't be around forever. Let me show you loyalty. Remy Ma vanished at a time when people were being pulled in all directions by the internet. She left the wedding as a result, with a cocky smile and a rolled-out hairdo as if it were part of a planned getaway. She reportedly hopped into a black SUV and drove off without bothering anyone. Sources, however, assert that she did not return home. Rather, a valet attendant stated that Rhee's driver took a detour to a hotel just 10 minutes away from They've heard of this kind of hotel before. Additionally, Papoose and Clarissa's wedding night was supposed to take place there. What are we discussing, please? What next shocked everyone. A post-wedding altercation, a covert encounter, and an attempt at reconciliation. Papoose did not arrive at the motel in the late evening. Claressa reportedly slept alone at the hotel. Trying to control her tears and figure out how to remove the wedding hashtag. That same evening, Remy Ma posted a mysterious Instagram story with a black screen that featured a white suit with broken vibrations and a missing manila package. There was no groom or honeymoon suite. Give the facts in plain terms. K. Admirers flooded Cardi B's direct messages, with some requesting receipts. And she even commented, "Damn sis, now I need popcorn and a therapist." Truth always wins in the end. If that's not a confession, we don't know what it is. But don't go anywhere, because read the terrifying Instagram story that went viral the next morning. Sometimes silence is the loudest truth, sir. No tweets, no Instagram posts, no interviews, and no silence on the radio. The disagreement doesn't end here. The following day, it becomes a career-ending issue. Let's fast forward to the day following the wedding catastrophe to demonstrate why. I believe it is charitable to refer to it as a disaster. The internet examined every aspect of the release. Footage much like CSI, when Claressa Shields goes live on Instagram the following morning. Weeping and heavily makeup appeared. The true story begins. Wig jokes abound. Memes regarding the Kennedy assassination tape go crazy. And Remy Ma is the most popular person in the world for all the wrong reasons, or, depending on who you ask, the right ones. She added, "I didn't deserve this. Not on my wedding day. Not from a woman I once looked up to. Absolutely." As the caption for a hoodie that was obviously not hers. But baby, this wasn't just a live, this was a televised breakdown with commercial breaks for sympathy. So let's break down what she said first. Claressa confirmed the validity of the wedding and the signatures on the necessary documents. She claimed that after being covertly engaged, for months, she and Papoose had agreed on a private ceremony to keep the peace. She went on to say that Remy had been pestering her for weeks by going to her gym and sending her odd texts, although it was unknown at the time. It soon became lawful. The live feed was interrupted halfway through by Claressa's manager, who announced, "We are going to sue Remy Ma for emotional distress and physical assault." The litigation was officially in progress, but it was not yet finished. CCTV footage from the outside cameras of the venue shows her entering with a duffel bag of ambition. According to Remy's crew, what precisely is a duffel bag of intent? One would wonder. They noted that, among other things, the backpack had combat boots and a change of shoes. She was waiting for the wig to be put inside a satin drawstring bag after picking up a folder of receipts. If you're going to a wedding, at least dress up. With some accessories, however, because Clarissa's mascara was running. The rest of social media had already focused on her. As she was crying live, she cautiously zoomed in on the wedding invitation that had been delivered to her under the false name Marie R. Scott. There was no music, no conversation. "You invited me, but you didn't think I'd show up." This was the most dramatic narrative turn of the century. And the internet was now formally split into rival political parties, according to the account. Remy went too far. Claressa is the victim. Team Remy did a great job. Nothing gives closure. Like taking off the wig. Team Papoose. Guy? The prenuptial agreement was leaked by a member of Papoose's social circle, which was an unexpected development. Double blink if you require help. They were obviously tired of the spectacle and dispatched to recognize that love was not the theme of this wedding. The Black Love Company, which Papoose and Remy co-founded, gave her money, a condo in Miami, and expensive automobiles. She owned it, everything. The marriage terminated within those 90 days. Claressa's rights are outlined in this cute little PDF. Now that the public is aware of what happened with Leverage, everyone wants to know, although he hasn't stated anything. Paparazzi witnessed Papoose enter a Manhattan studio by himself while sporting a black hoodie that read, "Love is a battle." Claressa did the following, "Sir," but very quietly, following her headline remark, "That woman tried to humiliate me, but karma always comes back around. I just didn't expect it to wear red